So, the real world problem that I am presenting to you guys today is the discrimination of those with disabilities in the workplace. To start off, I want to define a few terms. One being, what is a disability? A disability is a physical or mental condition that limits a person's movements, senses, or activities. According to the World Health Organization, a disability has three dimensions: one being impairment, two, activity limitation, and three, participation restrictions. An impairment can be physical or verbal, such as maybe an employee is deaf, blind, or has autism. It can involve body structures and function. Communication can affect social relationships and social skills as a whole. And also, mental health falls under the category of participation restrictions. Two, what is discrimination? Discrimination is the unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people or things, especially on the grounds of race, age, or sex. Harassment is huge in the workplace, whether it's sexual harassment or even just making jokes about one's disability. There's also victimization. So basically, if you were to complain about a disability incident where there was discrimination and you are not being treated fairly due to your complaint, that is known as victimization. Also, we don't see this one often, but it's called discrimination by association. For example, you have a family member, or maybe, for example, your mom has a disability, and someone is discriminating you, the person who doesn't have a disability, because your mom does. That means you are being discriminated by association. So, since you have a connection with someone that is disabled, you are receiving discrimination. Disability discrimination at work can mean that maybe you get less favorable treatment than other employees, or maybe your boss is requiring something of all the colleagues to do that is easy for them, but it's definitely a challenge for you. Not making reasonable adjustments to the workplace for the person with a disability is also discrimination. And once again, joking, harassment, it's definitely a sign of discrimination within the workforce. There are adjustments at work that can be made for those with disabilities. Physical adjustments to property are huge. For example, maybe your employee is in a wheelchair and the employer adds a concrete ramp to the entrance so that employee has a more accessible route to get inside to work. You can supply special equipment. Let's say you're having a giant meeting with all of your employees, and you have an employee that is deaf, so he can't hear very well. So you hire a sign language interpreter. That would fall under the category of supplying special equipment. Another work adjustment that can be made is altering hours to give employees time off. However, if you're not doing this appropriately and fairly, it can come across as discrimination. So if you are purposefully not giving an employee with disabilities enough hours, that can turn around and become a legal claim because you are not being fair and just to them. So the law states that there are strict limits on medical questions on applications. So, number one, you cannot, absolutely not ask an employee about their disability. You can't ask an employee cannot ask an applicant to answer any medical questions before extending a job offer. You cannot ask the employee about their disability or any information on it. However, an employer can ask the employee about certain tasks and his ability to perform them. Especially if your employee has an obvious disability, the employee does not have to discuss that with the employer. It's up to them. However, if these questions are brought up, it would be the right thing to do as an employer to ask if there's any accommodations that can be made or offered to help the employee with his or her task. So to get the facts, the employment rate for those with disabilities as of 2015 was 35.2%. 27% of those employees with disabilities live below the poverty line. I also included a picture of the employment rate for people with disabilities by state. It gives you between 24.4 and 49.3%. And you can look at that. It's a pretty cool photo. Gives you an idea of where we are at. Our own state, Florida, is around 25% employment rate for people with disabilities. So our project services are brought to you by our nonprofit company, and it's called Empowering Employment Incorporated. Our project provides presentations and educational materials on the basic rights of employment under the ADA. We offer group services, legal advice, we go over legal claims, we offer, if you even have a legal claim, if you come to us with any questions, we can let you know if you have one. Our main goal is to educate those around us on their legal rights within the workplace. You can contact my team at any time, and we will come visit your offices and provide valid information regarding discrimination laws. So to take action, we have started the Disability Employment Project, which I just discussed, and introducing our stakeholders that are definitely taking an interest are the members of the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and the ADA, which stands for the American Disability Act. As a project begins, you always come across some possible issues. So one of the issues that we came across is that by law, if making an accommodation is too difficult to provide or too expensive, the employer does not have to do so. This can arise issues in helping the employee complete work-related tasks, and it could also become an excuse. So back to the definition of an accommodation, I used the wheelchair example. So if you have hired an employee that is in a wheelchair and you know that they do not have an accessible route to get into your building, the right thing to do would be to make an accommodation. However, sometimes people can make excuses to not hire employees with disabilities because maybe it's too expensive to provide those accommodations. We want to, as my project group, Empowering Employment, we want to help people and businesses provide these accommodations. We are a nonprofit group that wants to provide information and resources. So it'd be great if you'd reach out to us if you are ever in need of help with an issue like this. Step 1, give my team a call. Step 2, download our manuals providing all our legal advice. It can help you learn about you and your company's rights. Step 3, we'll come to you. We can help with many accommodations with the help of our sponsors. Step 4, if you're looking for a job and have a disability, please remember that we can help. And then step 5, remember that we all have basic human rights. Don't forget to check out our manuals online. They are free. They will help you and your company avoid any legal pitfalls and will also help you learn all of your rights. Thank you for listening.